Malcolm Kalaji, reality had lost all meaning. Somewhere distant, he was aware he was standing in the hallway of the 17th floor of the tall white tower of the Los Angeles FBI building. He was aware of the mid-morning sun through the windows, falling in pale yellow mist to reflect off the white tile and heat the narrow corridor until he felt as if he stood too close to a campfire, the warmth making his stomach turn sour and flooding his mouth with saliva, his lymph nodes twinging with a sick and awful feeling. He was aware of the sucking sound of his breaths, wet and panicked and closing his throat on every inhalation, attempting to make his lungs function, running out of air. He was aware of Seong-Jae standing tense and watchful at his back, with his arms slightly lifted as if the hunting crow would take flight, while in front of him Joshi stood pale and frozen with his phone held up, his brow slimed with beads of glistening sweat that turned his pores into shining-edged black craters, the phone screen lit up with the name Lux S. But each of those singular pinions of reality had become something different somehow, flesh and blood and solid points of existence, replaced by wax figures and dollhouse walls, leaving Malcolm staring in on some kind of diorama that was just a representation of this moment, and not a thing that was actually happening. Because as long as this wasn't actually happening, he wasn't listening to Alexander Normand croon from Joshi's phone.
"I'm in Baltimore,"
the White Rabbit giggled,
"watching Arash and Carolyn Kalaji enjoy their tea."
His parents. The White Rabbit was in Baltimore. He'd found his next targets. Malcolm's parents were going to die because Malcolm hadn't been fast enough, hadn't been smart enough, hadn't... Thunder. Thunder, crashing. It was storming over this diorama. No. That was his heart, storming through him from head to toe, rocking him violently, threatening to drown out everything else, this avalanche of his bloodstream tumbling down to crush his life, his world pushing everything away down a receding tunnel, his vision closing in, black around the edges, and... "You're lying." Was that his voice? That thin, shivering thing, crumpled and crackling like paper? Joshi caught his eye. The diorama broke when the wax figurine moved, and Joshi became a real person again as he shook his head, mouthing something Malcolm wasn't processing. But then there was a hand on his arm. Seong-Jae. Seong-Jae's hand touching him, pulling him back from nearly lifting out of his own body, his soul slamming back down into his flesh with a painful jolt that knocked the breath out of him. He turned his head toward his Omer, staring into wide, starkly urgent black eyes, silently begging Seong-Jae to tell him this wasn't happening. Seong-Jae mouthed something, but Malcolm couldn't parse it even as the edges of things started to come clear and crisp again. He shook his head helplessly, flexing his fingers that wanted to grasp onto something, anything to make sense of this.